What's up, y'all? This is Rom coming back at you with yet another car video. Body game, y'all. Body game, y'all. Most select men have or are jocks. So have/are jocks. And that's very important to understand. Yeah, and I know y'all probably say, damn, Rom shaved everything. Well, when Rom shaves everything, it's always for a spiritual reason. Always either change the season or going to war. In this case, going to war. And it ain't what y'all think. I'll keep that to myself. Got to handle some business. Anyway. Yeah, most select men. Most. I was thinking about that yesterday. And I even hit up Cousin T-Taw about it. Because he said, I was asking him about like male exotic dancers. I said, have you been jocks? Most of them have been jocks. And then when I think about the men that I know, wait a minute, I'll wait. Let everybody get out. They played something, or they still play something. I know one select dude, the dude in his 40s, he still be running ball, playing football, everything. Doing a little bit of coaching on this for his son who's playing basketball now. You know? Totally into sports. Even like some older guys in their 50s or something. Like myself, if you ask us, I say, yeah, we played something. And when I say sports, I don't mean just playing like pickup or something. Usually like at least organized at like high school or college level. Shoot, even at the pro level. You know? Everybody ain't superstars who stay in the league a long time. You might meet some dudes who they were there for a little bit, but you know, they still stay in generally good shape, athletic shape. In fact, I had mentioned before this site that talked about it surveyed 1,000 women about what they liked in a man's body build. And I had mentioned it, and I'm gonna put a link in the description box. And it was interesting on another level. I might hit it on another level too, because I said the choices were athletic, lean, built, brawny, and then skinny, right? And I had said at first the athletic one and then the lean, but then that site broke it down. And this is a little bit of a tangent, but that site broke it down. And it said the women from like generally 18 to 34, they like the athletic and then the built. Lean came third, right? Lean came third. And I'm going to tell you why I'm even bringing that up. All right. You know, the 18 to 34. I was like, wait, that's interesting. Because they did it overall. And yeah, overall, lean came in second. But then they came in first overwhelmingly in for women 35 and up. So just to say, all the guys saying, hey, I gotta get lean. You can get granny. So anyway, especially the old women over 55. Hey, you in line for granny. Go ahead, bro. Anyway, I'm gonna put a link for that in the description box. I'll let you look at it for yourself. Might even do another video on it. But getting back to the select men, if you honestly ask these guys, the ones who you see getting women, they'll play ball somewhere. Even when you talk to some baddies or something, they'll be like, yeah, my man used to be a swimmer. My man used to play basketball. Usually an active sport where they got to move around and stuff. They got to have a combination of strength and speed and power and everything. You know? I was like, yeah. And that's body game. Even for the guys want to talk about, you know, Chad, Tyrone, and Pookie. We're going to start putting Pookie in there. That way we cover all races and everything. You know, all mindsets. Maybe Pookie and Bubba. Anyway, if you take an honest look at them, guys so busy focused on their face, if you look at their bodies, these dudes that played ball. If I see a Chad or a Tyrone out in public, or even a Pookie, I'm like, where'd you play, bro? And they'd be like, yeah, I played this, played that. Seriously. Overwhelmingly. Even that even goes past the height, because I mentioned that dude I work with, Caveman, was 5'5". Man, that dude could play ball like a champ. I told you, we played in this reg league football game Shoot, he's playing cornerback, caught more passes from the opposing team's quarterback than the quarterback's own receivers. But that was the one thing, is that physicality, man. It's that physicality. And see, on a primal level, that turns a woman on. Oh, and also that website I mentioned, they said women overwhelmingly value strength in a man. Value physical strength. Overwhelmingly. So no matter what you are, you got to look strong. Even if you're on the lean or even skinny side, really, you still got to look strong and hard. Right? And, okay. Yeah. But, yeah, something popped across my screen while I was recording. But anyway, right? Yeah, that's the thing, though, if you look at it. And that just goes down to it. In fact, I said before in a video, you can get a clue as to the body type that a woman likes, or how she feel about a certain body type, by asking her what her favorite sport is. And of course, you know, some Bamas doubted that, but I guarantee they ain't play. But like, if a woman say she like football, I'm like, yeah. Because that's one thing I noticed about myself. Because anybody who see me in the real world, you know what's funny? Because I even looked at a video, you look at me from the top up, I might just be like, look like blah, blah. It's like, y'all don't see it like dip down like, you know, past here. But anybody who sees me in the real world, they'll be like, oh, you look like you play football. Got that linebacker, fullback build, which I'm good with. You know? Because I always had that football player build. Ironically, in high school, I played varsity soccer. I was slimmer back then, but I was walking all over the place, running and stuff. But even then, I was still very good at football. And I told you, I can hang in basketball games with like D1 college basketball players. At least back then. I'm older now, and even now, people see me and they be like, "Yeah, you play rec league." In fact, that dude I told you in his 40s be playing all the time. He wanted me to run with his team and stuff. I wish I had more time. Seriously, I do wish I had more time. But that's the one thing I noticed. They played ball. Most of them. And I'm going to tell you what. I think about them all. The only exceptions I really seen to that, there was one exception. This dude, he didn't play ball, but he could have. If he got into it, he could have played ball. But only exceptions I've seen is dudes from the military. They might not have played like an organized sport, but then they went in the military, like serious military. And you know, you be running there. That's the only exceptions I've seen. Real exceptions, except for one person. But if you look at the select men, they always got that, that physicality and everything. And that's very important. That's why I emphasize body game. Seriously, take a look at the men who are really getting the women, and then ask if they play sports. Even big man game. The big men who generally be getting the women, the big men, look like they might have been the defensive lineman or offensive lineman. Shit, I knew this woman. She said she was actually dating an NFL guy because he said he could flip her. I know another woman dating this big old football playing dude. He could flip her. Shit. Because seriously, let me get back to what I said about asking, if you find out what sport a woman likes, that gives you a clue what body type she like. Because when a woman say football, I'm like, cha-ching. As soon as she say, and I noticed that. I'll say every time there's a woman like real friendly to me, I noticed this for decades, I'll start saying something like, yeah. I started talking sports. They say, oh, yeah, you check out this game last night or that. They be talking about it more than you. They be loving it every time. Or they got their favorite college team or something. Every single time. In fact, I had mentioned before in a video a long time ago. Of course, some detractor tried to say, of course, the detractor never seen me in person. I said back when the Commanders were called the Redskins, I was at this party and there was a whole bunch of Redskins there. And this woman was dancing with me. And, that was actually before I really got into body game, but I was still like big and stuff. In fact, my own grandmother was asking me if I was using steroids. I was like, no. It was all those steaks that she was buying me. Hey, seriously, because when I was still in school, I was staying with my grandmother. like American University, she had bought like a year's worth of steaks. I was popping them like they were snacks. I got big as shit. Looking like a football player. Definitely looking like that fullback. And I was at this party, and this woman, she was just going crazy. Say, oh, you play for the Redskins? I was like, nah. And I actually been around them sometime, a couple times and stuff. About the same size. Like seen them either at like some event or something like that. Yeah. But, I mean, it is what it is. But they are like that. Because you get some guys, see, and that's the thing, because you get some guys, and usually some scrawny dudes thinking, oh, they just want lean. No, it depends on the woman, what she like. If she likes soccer players, shoot, dudes might not have to be that tall, you know. Or if she like runners, or she like swimmers, seriously. Because a lot of times when women be watching those sports, they be, they checking out the body. In fact, this young brother was just getting in the body game. Oh man, I can't think of it. I think it's Nodovico Content. My apologies, brother, because I'm not looking at it. I'll put a link to the young brother. He's talking about body game all the time. I'll put a link to his stuff. Y'all support him and everything. Y'all support him. But he was talking about something I had talked about several times. Like, you go in the hood or something, you always see little girls watching guys play ball. Seriously, you go to the hood, the guys take off their shirts and everything, and the guys would take off their shirts. Shit, the women right there, the little girls right there, they checking it out. They sitting there and shoot. I remember I learned that back in 8th grade. My school had like a little basketball team, and there was this one dude on it, like real muscle. I mean, I ain't gonna say his name, but his nickname was Muscle, and then his name, which began with an M. I remember the girl say, "We gotta go see the game. We gotta go see him in shorts." This is back in 1979. Like, women have always gone crazy over jocks. In fact, if you, like, people talking about that whole, like, even that incel thing. Damn, that's a cool youngin', because we by our school. This dude ain't even, he's taking his time. You all right, man? I got to give a thumbs up. He held up traffic, took his time. But anyway, you know, women have always go crazy over, they be checking out the sports for the bodies. Seriously. That's why it's a big clue. Like, if you're talking to a woman, ask her what sport she likes. That give you a big clue. So if they like basketball, okay, taller and slimmer. You know? Even though you got some big men who play basketball. Or they like football, or even if they like rugby or something, it's like, okay, like that stocky. And some of it depends on what country it's in. Depends on what country it's in. You know, Caribbean and South America. Shoot, like Brazil, you're a soccer player. Cha-ching. Even if you got a little bit of size on you. I got to shout out this one Brazilian soccer player, Hulk. That's a big old dude, but he be shaking him. He be freaking him and stuff. And in fact, I remember when I played club soccer. No, I was coaching and stuff. And I remember some Africans, and they were saying, yeah, if you don't play soccer in our country, they be calling you gay. I was like, man. So it's a big thing. It's a big thing. But, you know, it's the body, it's the energy, the aesthetics, the physical aesthetics. It's turning a woman on. One is turning on a woman because masculinity itself is active. You know, it's a woman watching a man play ball is the equivalent of a man watching a woman dance. Seriously, it's the equivalent. So even if, especially when you're young, you playing ball, you're gonna get some women. Like I said, like when I think about even the dudes who hit me up privately, they say, yeah, Uncle Rom, I used to play football. Yeah, Uncle Rom, I could have played tight end and stuff. You know? Shoot, yeah, played that ball or something. And women be going crazy, shoot. I remember even just playing rec league ball, you know. I'm in my like late 20s, early 30s, playing a lot of rec league, man. Shoot, our team had women on the side. In fact, a mutual friend had set me up with this one young lady. And I said, oh yeah, I met her. Then I said, yeah, my team playing in this team game. She showed up. And then about a week later, like a chunk. She was sitting there. She was into it too. She was into it. Telling you, that football player build. That football player, and that's just them. See, it depends on, like I say, it depends on the sport or what sport they might like. And women just like different bodies. That's why I say get your best body. And if you ain't played sports, just look like you have. Seriously, just look like it. That's all you probably need. You know, as long as you're doing something active, that's the main thing. But then there's another angle, actually. Let me get to a second angle about playing sports, and this has to do with masculinity. And I did a video the other day talking about discipline. If you play sports, you got to be disciplined, because when you got a coach, like if you play fun, like pickup or something, that's one thing. But when you play, you got a coach, and you playing in some type of league where you got refs, you got to have a certain amount of discipline. You got to have a certain amount of discipline to really get over. And you develop discipline. In fact, a metaphysician within the black community, Dr. Phil Valentine, I remember I interviewed him for this internet radio show I did way back in the day, way before I was on YouTube. And he was saying sports is like a rites of passage. In fact, I think Master Yao, who I always mentioned, said the same thing. Like, in this society, we really don't have a rites of passage. We don't have training for men. That's a big problem. That's a big problem. Really a separate video. We don't. The closest we have to something that can bring out the man in a young boy is sports. Like, I use an example in impoverished neighborhoods, poor neighborhoods. Usually, a lot of young boys will, like, develop discipline there. That's why you get a lot of these poor kids. They'll develop that discipline, that physicality, and that discipline, and end up playing in the pros. Like some of the poorest neighborhoods. Like, there was a neighborhood mentioned, it was in Miami. I can't think of what it was, but had a whole lot of pros who came out of there. A poor area in Pennsylvania, you know? That's one of the things. But see, what they get that discipline. Because I don't care what sports you play, you got a coach. What the coach going to do? Anybody who plays sports, and y'all know, first of all, you don't just go out there and play. Shoot, you got to go through drills. You got to go through some drills. You know, first of all, you got to have the conditioning part. So you're going to be running. You're going to be doing push-ups, sit-ups maybe. I don't know what the kids doing now, but probably push-ups. And you got to go through drills. You training your muscles and everything, you know. And then you got to, like, really practice stimulating plays. Like, if you're playing... like, there were certain things we did in soccer, basketball. You might have to, like, do some dribbling drills, some footwork, practice that drop step for the big men. You know, if you're playing football, you know, some running drills, going into the pit, everything. But then you got to be disciplined. You got to be disciplined, even in little ways. Okay, like when I played varsity soccer, one of the things we had to do, it seemingly didn't have anything to do with actually being on the field. But the coach, if you came to the game and your shoes weren't shined, he'd bench you, even if you were the star. He'd bench you, and he ain't play about that. So we be shining our shoes and everything. But what did that create? Discipline. Like a really good coach. Ain't gonna just throw you out there no matter. Like any coach, anybody who's coached, been coached, they know that coach disciplines you, especially for a young guy. Like every young person should play some type of sport. Even my sons played soccer and stuff. One didn't play football, but and personal reasons I didn't get into it. It's getting kind of not even vicious. It's some other stuff. But anyway, they still played something where they had to be disciplined, because it's important. It's important for young boys, especially young boys. And they don't have to play pro or anything like that. They don't need to play pro, but where they have to run around, and it's actually better if they play like, some type of high school, something like that. Because I tell you something else with that too. Not only they get disciplined, but especially playing high school, they getting validation. You getting fans and everything. You get somebody checking you out. You get somebody praising you, and psychologically that's good. Psychologically that's good. So that's one level. But getting back to the discipline part, you become disciplined. And see, that discipline, you can transfer it to other areas of life. It's like if you play ball, one thing, you learn how to win, but then you also learn how to lose. That's very important, because in life, it's not always going to be hokey-dory. It's not always going to be hokey-dory. You're going to fall. Like, I did play football my freshman year at high school. And one of the things, football for a bit, long story. But one of the things I learned was something I've said before. There's nothing wrong with falling. There's nothing wrong with falling. But you got to get up. Nothing wrong with falling, but you got to get up. Like, that's one of the things you learn. You learn how to really get through stuff, get through adversity. Like, if you're playing ball itself, you're going to be down in games. You learn never to give up. And you can transfer that to life. You learn how to win. You learn how to adjust. You learn how to get through adversity. And see, once you learn that shows you something else. Like, they always have those commercials for the NCAA, and they'll say most of the athletes will go pro in something other than sports. But the traits that you learn, you transfer that to something else. And that's key, y'all. That's really key. And see, bringing it back to the select man, it's not just that they have a certain physicality, but they're going to have a certain amount of discipline in how they carry themselves and what they do, how they face everyday life, because the lesson you learn in sports is what you learn in life. That's regardless of what sports. So when you have that coaching, it brings out, you're going to have some discipline. You got to have discipline to play. You got to have that controlled aggression. You got to have all of that. And that's the important thing. So, anyway, yeah, but that's why, honestly, the body game, and then just developing that aspect of just pure masculinity, why most select men have been jocks. Most. Just ask yourself, every time you see a man getting a lot of women, say, hey, you play ball? Yeah, I used to, man. D1, man. Or, at least played in high school. Something. Or I'm still playing rec or something like that. You gotta have that discipline. Go a long way. In that body. So, on multiple levels, they have been jocks. So, anyway, yo, that's all I got for now. Get back with y'all. Peace and blessings.